He moved to the suburbs for peace, but found surveillance, manipulation, and a neighbor with a clipboard and a secret. What began as polite questions turned into false complaints, a 911 call, and a neighborhood scam years in the making. This is the true story of how one man used his skills, his patience, and a few hard truths to expose a fraud hiding in plain sight. When I moved into Oakridge Heights, I thought I'd found calm. The neighborhood looked like a painting, neatly trimmed lawns, quiet streets, porch lights glowing in sync. It felt safe. Safe was what I needed. My name is Andre Watson. I work in cybersecurity, a field where paranoia is professionalism. I've spent my career identifying threats people don't see. So maybe it was instinct when I met Brenda that told me something wasn't right. It started small. One Saturday morning, I was scrubbing the front steps of my new home, sipping coffee, enjoying the sound of nothing. Brenda appeared like she'd been waiting for that moment. Late 60s. Tall posture, yellow tracksuit, so bright it looked aggressive under the sun. She smiled like a politician. "Hi, neighbor," she chirped, just doing a friendly check-in, for safety. Before I could respond, she fired off a list of questions. Where did I work? Did I have a partner? Any emergency contacts nearby? I paused. Her tone was casual, but the content wasn't. It sounded like onboarding paperwork disguised as conversation. "Thanks, but I'd prefer to keep things private," I said. "If you ever need anything urgent, I'm on the neighborhood app." Her smile tightened. "Some of us like to go beyond apps. Real connection matters." I nodded, already filing it away in my mental folder. Possible red flag. 2 days later, she returned, this time with her husband, Gary, and a stack of what she called updated HOA documents. They weren't official. The headers were different. The language asked for full names, phone numbers, even access instructions in case of emergency. I told her plainly, "This looks like phishing on paper." She laughed nervously. "We just like to be prepared. I'll stick with the official channels." That was when her expression changed. She didn't argue. She didn't threaten. She just said, "You might find this community works better when people cooperate." And then she left. The next day, I found a citation taped to my mailbox trash bins, visible before 7 a.m. Then came a note about unapproved foliage. I had rosemary in a pot by the window, according to Brenda's mysterious citations. It was too close to the public sidewalk. None of it was real. But it wasn't about rules. It was about pressure. It was about letting me know who was watching. I'd seen this before online. Manipulative users probing for weaknesses, pushing limits to see how far they could go. Only this time, the hacker wore a tracksuit and held a clipboard. I started digging. Her name, Brenda Hoffman, came up clean in most public databases, but a little cross-referencing revealed something else, a prior name. Brenda Keene. That was the key. Keene had a sealed record from another state, with a little legal finesse and professional connections. I confirmed it 10 years ago. She'd been convicted of wire fraud. She'd targeted elderly people, collected sensitive data under false pretenses, and redirected community funds into shell accounts. It had all been quietly settled with a plea deal. Suddenly, everything made sense. She wasn't just nosy. She was dangerous. And she wasn't done. One evening, I hosted a small gathering. Friends from work, some barbecue, a playlist in the background. It was quiet, respectful, but around 9 p.m. Brenda arrived, 2 women behind her, all with phones raised like paparazzi. "We've had complaints," she said. "Noise. Suspicious guests. You're being documented for Neighborhood Watch." I asked, "Are you filming me?" Her grin widened. "Just documenting behavior." I didn't engage. I simply recorded back. The next morning, a formal complaint was filed with the HOA. She claimed I was verbally abusive, had blocked her access to the sidewalk, and had possibly intimidated her guests. But here's the twist. Brenda wasn't even on the HOA board anymore. She'd been removed quietly last year, after discrepancies in financial reports, but she never told anyone. She just kept showing up, calling herself liaison, and weaponizing authority she didn't have. This time, I wasn't passive. I built a case. I documented every visit. I saved screenshots of social media posts, coded language, targeted harassment, and fake announcements disguised as community updates. I pulled audio from her sidewalk confrontation. I included her criminal record. And I wasn't alone. Other neighbors started stepping forward quietly at first. One older couple had given her their medication info. Another admitted she'd asked for door codes. Then came the breaking point. She showed up again, alone, and demanded to see my ID for emergency protocol compliance. I told her to leave. She refused. We argued calmly on my part, escalating on hers. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. I feel unsafe. She said, he's threatening me. But I had security cameras, audio and video, every word. When the officers arrived, I didn't panic. I simply pressed play. They listened. They watched. They took notes. Her lies collapsed under the weight of evidence. She was warned, then investigated, then arrested. Fraud, false reporting, misuse of personal data, and identity theft. For reusing old HOA credentials and forms to mislead residents. The story hit the local paper. Cybersecurity expert outs neighborhood con artist. That wasn't my headline. But I didn't argue. Within a week, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Brenda was officially banned from all community leadership roles. Her yellow tracksuit became a meme in our local forum. A neighbor even made a cookie in its shape for our first block party. Our real one. Not the ones Brenda pretended to organize. I didn't just survive the attack. I helped uncover years of damage. Several elderly residents were able to reclaim funds. Brenda had manipulated them into handing over. Our neighborhood rewrote its privacy policies. A proper digital portal was launched with verified security, and I was asked to lead the advisory committee for data and resident protection. Oakridge Heights became what I hoped it would be, a place where people looked out for each other, not watched each other. And Brenda. She left the neighborhood quietly, under legal supervision. No one said goodbye. For a long time, I believed the worst people wore suits and sat behind laptops. But sometimes, they knock on your door with a smile, asking for your birthday and your blood type. You don't need to shout to win. You just need to stay sharp, stay calm, and keep the receipts.